Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another stimulating voyage into the spaced-out world of Dirk Galaxy Space Detective. Since our last episode, Dirk and his friend Spence have decided to take a break from their search for millionaire Sheen Awakens. They've traveled to the nearest timeshare outpost, where they're taking in some local color. As we rejoin our space-age sleuth, he's taking in a little black and white from an age gone by. Let's watch. This multimedia museum is a fascinating place, Dirk. What was multimedia again?
It was a sales tool, Spence. Before the age of emergence, people used to feel they had to promote their products and services in order for those products to sell. People bought anything and everything they wanted with something called credit, which was essentially negative money. Multimedia created a fantasy world full of the unnecessary, based on the absence of quality, ethics, and values. Then it set up a system of selling that fantasy.
What motivated people to do such a strange thing?
Well, the jury's still out on that, Spence. For a while it was suggested that greed caused it.
Ah, yes, the old green-eyed monster.
No, that was jealousy, Spence. Something else that went away around the turn of the last century when people finally got tired of it.
I see.
Most authorities on the subject have come to the conclusion that it was the obsessive, egoistic nature of humans that fueled the extreme aggressiveness and ultra-competitive way of life. And what were they competing for? An empty lifestyle devoid of character, depth, and any solid significance.
How did this unusual device figure into the scheme of things, Dirk?
The old black and white TV. Television, Spence. Visual images were transmitted to these box viewers. The boxes were placed in private homes, often in many different rooms of one particular home. They were also placed in eateries and store windows. Their presence was pervasive. And it was so important to own one that even the poorest people used their negative money to buy one.
An unattractive and bulky device. What purpose did it serve?
We now know that it served no purpose, unless you consider expending power resources for no earthly gain and paying for it a purpose.
Doesn't sound right to me, Dirk.
There was nothing right about it. It took the place of babysitter, friend, companion, advisor. People became anxious and depressed. The worst part is that everybody fell into that state of despair, and nobody knew why, or was even aware of the situation. Everyone just assumed that the way they were feeling and dealing with everyday life was the way it was, the way it was supposed to be. It wasn't until after world government fell, crumbling the structure of society and forcing individuals to deal with one another on an individual basis again for their daily needs, that people relearned how to live in a multimedia-free environment.
How did TV meet its demise?
Well, when world government crumbled, there was no watchdog to regulate the material people saw on TV. You see, people had learned that the watchdog was also the devious establishment behind their general woes, and in this case, behind TV programming. Government caused every problem known to humans to protect its reason for being. It was a brilliant scheme. Only the top world leaders knew that by making a big deal about setting rules, standards, and guidelines, they were inviting and blessing the very deceitful operating practices they presumably opposed. It wasn't that they were worried that society would go bad without government guidance, though that was the PR spin and the thinking at the time. It went deeper than that. Government was keenly aware that after a time of massive unrest and upheaval, the world eventually would equalize and learn to regulate itself in accordance with the forces of nature. Government minds were too small to see the good in that, for all humankind and even for government itself.
It's so obvious, Dirk. Plain as the nose on my face. How was it that the entire world could be fooled like that?
Fast food.
Oh, of course. I had forgotten.
At any rate, Spence, the rules challenged producing entities to break the rules and push the proverbial envelope to the extreme. With the government out of the way and no regulator in charge, nobody knew what to produce or even why to produce. There was no standard to challenge, so the whole ridiculous television thing quickly faded away. It was kind of like saying no to drug use among teens. The old 20th century prescription. The government had to set up a favorable environment for the sale of drugs. If there were no drug use, there would be no need for drugs and there would be nothing to say no to. Then what need would there be for a program saying no to drugs? There would be no drugs and no drug users. Do you get the picture?
Ha ha, the picture. TV humor. Drug use and prescription slogan. You are one clever detective, Dirk. The next demonstration will begin in 15 minutes. There is ample room in the back of the auditorium.
Thanks, Spence. Say, look over there. They're about to present a spontaneous combustion demonstration. People used to burst into flames sitting in front of the TV, Spence.
So, there was a use for the TV then.
Yes, they came to be known as fried couch potatoes.
Fast food, huh?
No, just poor sloppy Joes, Spence. TV junkies on a journey through time and space who apparently should have attempted to adjust their television sets when admonished not to do so.
Junkie food, then.
Yeah, Spence, something like that. Come on, I don't want to miss this.
Do we have a volunteer from the audience?
Oh, I will.
Wonderful, sir. Now, if you'll just have a seat in this comfy recliner.
No, Spence, you don't want to sit there.
What are these straps for?
Just a little insurance. We wouldn't want the audience to be disappointed, would we?
Spence, get out of that.
There, fine. We'll just turn on the TV.
Oh, Western. My favorite.
That's nice.
Is it getting warm up here?
Stage lights.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to join us next time for more good times and pseudo-intellectual side trips with Dirk Galaxy Space Detective and the hot potato over there. Until then... must have been a power surge.
We'll put a little butter on it, Spence.
Ouch! Ouch!
And maybe some sour cream, chives.
I take it back what I said about your sense of humor.
You're just trying to butter me up, Spence.
Stop it.
Bacon bits.